So good afternoon, I'm here with John Kunzler, who is the Senior Vice President at Marsh, insurance brokers in the FINPRO division. John, thanks very much for your time this afternoon talking to Regulation Matters. Could you tell us a little bit about what you think are the greatest areas of risk to legal service providers?
Sure. I mean, I'd say at the moment cyber risk and fraud are top of the agenda. In particular, one of the most common attacks at the moment is the crypto locker software, which is often embedded in documents, and when you open the document, your computer system will be shut down and locked, and you'll get a call from a criminal asking you to pay money, basically, in order to have your system opened up again. Most businesses are aware of this risk, and some of them have taken some pretty good steps to manage it, but firms really need to be aware how and where their data is stored, and to ensure that it wouldn't be affected by such a problem. And they really need to also make sure that their software, both antivirus and their normal software, is patched and updated regularly, because that makes it far harder for these attacks to happen. Lastly, firms should really have a plan about what's going to happen if their computer's shut down for any reason, whether it's malware or whether it's just an interruption in power, because that can happen, and it's has a big impact obviously in the modern world.
Yeah, so we would obviously recommend to CILEx regulated entities that they all have a business continuity plan and disaster recovery for events such as that. But the cybercrime, I guess you've got to be on your toes all the time, trying to keep up with what the latest trends are, where the criminals are targeting particular areas of businesses, whether they're seeing any vulnerabilities. So it's being very alert to that, following guidance from your regulator, but looking more broadly at what advice and guidance is available, say through the insurance sector, the trends that you're noticing, and through other helpful sources, and we'll put some of that on the Regulation Matters webpage. Is there anything that you could tell us a bit more about the fraud side of activity at the moment?
Yeah, of course, that's very active as well, and essentially what's happening here is identity fraud, so people's identities or apparent identities are stolen, often enabled by social media. So what goes onto Facebook, the criminals look at, and they can look at pretty easily. And generally what happens then is that large amounts of money, when they're being sent round by firms, are misdirected. So the criminals basically pose as either the law firm itself or as the client, and trick people into paying over the money. And what's really important about that in terms of stopping it is making sure you've got robust payment procedures that you stick to every time, and if you've got other people working in your business, make sure they understand that what's going on with those and why they are the way they are and why they should never be altered. Certainly not without speaking to everybody in the business. You often find that fraudsters, they find a little point of weakness and they'll suggest something's urgent, or there's maybe a bit of a problem or a mistake that needs sorting out because of something the firm's done, and that's a typical con trick to get people to do something that they wouldn't normally do. The other thing, as you said, is there's lots of material online, and the government have done some stuff, but this threat changes quite frequently. So the fraudsters adapt. And one of the things that's also important to do is to maintain awareness of what the latest version of the scam is that's going around, and that in itself is a strong protection.
I mean, I think as well, we've spoken previously where fraudsters will develop a relationship with a law firm. It may appear very innocent to start with. Potentially could be a customer, a client for the firm, and they build a relationship with the front of house, could be the receptionist or one of the junior team there, and it's over that period then that they become known, they become familiar, so your guard is down on occasion, and that's when they strike, so it doesn't have to be an immediate.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a great trick, isn't it, to have successfully concluded a transaction and paid for it and looked like a respectable client and gain the trust, and then you move in for the kill with the second transaction that you want done, and that's a method we've seen before. Okay,
and it's I guess it's just being vigilant about that, as you say, keeping up to date with knowledge, looking out for risk updates that are widely available across the sector, and perhaps swapping notes with other practices in your area or firms that you have dealing with to share intel.
And war stories. I mean, the other pieces are obviously the client due diligence and money laundering stuff helps a bit, but monitoring your suppliers carefully, because some of these frauds aren't just clients or sending money to what appears to be clients when it isn't. It's false suppliers we've heard of, or people taking over CCTV or other security systems and using that to enable fraud. So doing an audit basically of who you're dealing with and checking that those relationships are proper and as they should be. Sometimes, it's very, very good risk management.
Yeah, and I think as well, communicating well with your clients to say, we see it with banks, don't we? We will lots of advertising on TV at the moment, but we will never ask you to release your account details over the telephone, and law firms could take a similar approach to that and say the client, once they've engaged with them, we will never contact you to change our bank account details, and if we do, this is the way we would do it.
Yeah.
So you're making the consumer aware as well to protect them as an extension of that firm.
And also having procedures such as only using an outbound call to confirm a change in instruction. So it's a number you've been given by the client to call. Some of these people are able to pose very convincingly as the client and make a call in, wait till they know someone's out and there's an urgent point in a transaction to try and get what they want done. And they seem to be very capable, because they're monitoring email and things like that, they're very capable of spotting the exact moment at which you're most vulnerable to such an attack.
Okay, well thanks John for your time. I know it's been a very brief video, but I know you've written lots of helpful articles, and what we're going to do is attach those to this video on regulation matters, and there'll be a bit more detail and information for you there, and some signposting to other useful websites. So thank you John for your time, it's great to see you, and we'll see you again soon.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.